You are now tuned into the Bud Brunch.
Pour up, roll up, let's talk. Cheers.
Welcome back to the Bud Brunch.
Hey, y'all.
I'm your co-host, Lucia.
And I'm your co-host, Ashley.
And we're back for another exciting episode here at the Bud Brunch. Now, Buds, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube or our Spotify, make sure you all head over. We are the Bud, B-U-D, Brunch on everything. So you can't miss us there. Go ahead and you'll see our logo. Hit that and click subscribe so you don't miss another episode like last week's episode.
Yes, with Nicole of DC Canna Cape Cod.
Canna Cape Cod 3, The Ranch.
And we went to the ranch.
Yeah, we were live on site at the ranch. And it was such an amazing experience. The hospitality that we experienced while we were there, like none other. The fresh fruit on the charcuterie board.
I had so much fun.
It was delicious. It was fun. It was engaging. You guys have got to check out that episode because she really shared a lot with us. And she gave us a peek into her life.
She did, and I love how she talked about being a canna mom.
Yeah.
I feel like there are so many moms out there
who can relate.
Yes, absolutely.
She definitely dropped some big gems in there as well.
She did. She's big boss in business, and if you're looking to get in the cannabis hospitality space, that episode is definitely for you.
Start there.
And if you want to get all the details on that episode, make sure you go back and check it out on our YouTube and Spotify channel at the Bud Brunch on everything. But today we are sitting down with Kyla Hill, the Hempress herself.
Hempress.
I'm so excited for her interview.
Yeah, from hemp butter to hemp shoes, she's turned plant-based living pretty much into an art form.
She did. I mean, she grows it, she sources it, and if it doesn't exist, she makes it.
Yeah, and she's really redefining what that legacy looks like through entrepreneurship, wellness, and design.
She's such an artist.
Yeah, she lives, eats, and breathes it, and we're gonna find out a little bit more about what that looks like. So, Buds, go ahead and roll up your J and pour up your can of cocktail and pull up to the Bud Brunch table where we are sitting down with Kyla Hill of Get Hemp Butter. Ready to be a Bud?
You know you want to.
Subscribe to the Bud Brunch on YouTube and Spotify, and let's brunch and blaze together.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Tea with Ashley, your weekly pour of what's hot in cannabis culture, medicine, and industry buzz. And the headlines has got everybody talking. Let's get into it. So let me set this scene for you. You're walking into Total Wine and More for your usual Friday night essentials, maybe some champagne, maybe some Pinot, and sitting right there on the shelf next to the seltzers and the spirits is THC. Yep, THC in Total Wine. This is not a drill, y'all. Seth Rogen just pulled off what a whole lot of folks in the industry have only dreamed of. His brand, Houseplant, dropped a line of THC-infused sparkling waters, and they're now available in select Total Wine and More stores across the country. Now, if you know anything about how cannabis laws work state to state, you know that seeing cannabis products in a major national chain is basically revolutionary. It's giving federal feel in a state-by-state world. And the drinks, baby, they're classy. 0 calories, 0 sugar, just 3 milligrams of hemp-derived Delta-9 THC per can, low dose, light buzz, and full of flavor. Pineapple, citrus, black cherry, and blackberry. Seth said it best. Not every situation is right for smoking, and not everyone wants to smoke. And that's what this is about. Accessibility, because not everybody's trying to roll up or hit a pin. Some people just want to sip something chill, functional, and elevated, and now they can. This move is so major because it signals the shift we've all been talking about. Cannabis is no longer locked in dispensaries or hiding behind coded language. It's stepping right into everyday life. And houseplants isn't just showing up. They showing up on shelves we all recognize. So whether you're cannabis curious, a seasoned vet, or somewhere in between, this launch is a reminder that the industry is evolving fast and it's bubbling over into places we never thought we'd see it. That's your pour for this week. Stay lifted, stay tuned, and I'll catch you next time on Tea with Ashley, where I spill the tea and spark the convo. Now go sip on that.
Hi, I'm Ayana Lawson of Front Row Travels. I'm vibing with the Bud Brunch. Let's pour up, roll up, and let's talk.
All right, buds, it's time to get into what's in your glass. The part of the show where we sip, sample, and spill on the latest cannabis and cannabis-infused treats. From flower to edibles, drinks to dabs, we're putting our taste buds to the test and letting y'all know what's really hitting and what's getting passed.
Want to be in our glass?
You know you want to.
If your product hits, whether it's drinkable, smokable, or snackable, we just might feature it on What's in Your Glass. Slide into our DMs at the Bud Brunch and let's toast to that.
Cheers. But before we get into this episode, Lucia, what you got over there in your glass, girl?
Well, out of respect for our guest, it is not a glass. This is a hemp container.
Fancy.
Yeah, isn't it? I really enjoy this packaging. It's really cool. It's neat. It can fit in my bag. What's inside is really the prize.
So what's in that thing?
It is some Get Hemp Butter. And it's an all-purpose based moisturizer. So you can use it on everything. You know how we're like the Bud Brunch on everything?
You can use that
the
Get Hemp Butter on everything. Okay. I see what you did there.
You can use it in your hair, your hands, and your body. I pretty just like use it as a lotion to like moisturize my hands and my skin.
I love that.
Yeah, I love it too. And you know, it's made with over 5,000 milligrams of hemp seed oil.
Oh, that's dope.
So I feel like I'm being healed.
From the outside in?
All at the same. Well, you know, your skin is the largest organ on your body. So
it is.
I think a lot of people forget that. So it's really important what you put on your skin. So this is something that I feel can go a really long way.
Okay, well, we will check in at the end of the episode and see how you're feeling, how that moisturization is feeling on
It's
your
working
skin.
out for me. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I know I will be a lot more moisturized than I was last episode. That's
Were you
a fact.
dry last episode?
You know, I had to have that dry hand issue. But you know, we'll, that's for another time.
All right, buds, can y'all give me a minute? A medical minute, that is. I'm your favorite cannabis educator, and I'm here to shed new light on what's happening in the world of medical cannabis and to set the record straight on the myths, the facts, and everything in between. Now, this week, we're talking about cramps, chaos, and cannabis. Yes, PMS and PMDD, that monthly roller coaster a whole lot of people are riding, whether they want to be or not. According to the Office on Women's Health, over 90% of women report PMS symptoms, and about 1 in 20 are dealing with PMDD, a more intense, life-disrupting version that affects your mood, your body, and your day-to-day. We're talking fatigue, anxiety, breast tenderness, bloating, insomnia, irritability, depression. Sound familiar? And while there are treatments, most of them come with baggage. Hormonal birth control might fix one thing and mess with your mood or your weight. SSRIs, sometimes helpful, but let's talk about low libido, emotional numbness, or straight up not feeling like yourself. So what happens when you want relief without the monthly pharmacy cocktail? Enter cannabis. Cannabinoids like THC and CBD tap into the endocannabinoid system. That's the part of your body that helps regulate pain, inflammation, mood, and yes, hormones. This isn't just buzz, it's straight biology. Here's what the plant brings to the table. CBD may help ease anxiety and regulate mood swings. THC can calm pain and nausea, two of the biggest complaints during that time of the month. And both, they help chill inflammation, which is a major player in cramping and bloating. And bonus, users report better sleep, fewer mood swings, and faster recovery, all without the side effects that sometimes come with traditional meds. And fellas, don't tune out. This ain't just a woman's issue. You got someone in your life going through it every month. This knowledge might just make your life a little easier too. Help her out. Don't tap out. Because let's be real, too many people are told to just deal with it. Like monthly pain is a rite of passage. Nah, that era is done. We're reclaiming relief with the help of a plant that's been medicine all along. That's your dose of facts for this week's Medical Minute with your favorite cannabis educator. Keep questioning, keep learning, and catch me next week for more. And if you want to dive deeper into the medical cannabis topics that matter to you, hit me up at cannabisashley.com.
Hey, it's your girl Sweet Bee with Cane Collective, and I'm vibing with the Bud Brunch. Pour up, roll up, let's talk.
All right, y'all, we're here today with Kyla Hill, the Hempress, founder of Get Hemp Butter, artist, advocate, and true Hempress of the hemp game. From Capitol Hill to creative collabs, she's been pushing this culture forward for over a decade. So, all right, y'all, let's pour up.
Roll up.
Let's talk.
Blaze word alert. Our guest doesn't know it, but anytime you hear today's Blaze word during this episode,
If you're 21 and over, we need you to spark something or sip your can of cocktail.
cheers, hit it, sip it, and stay locked in.
This episode's Blaze word is hemp. Hi, Kyla.
Hey, girl. Hey.
How are you? So we have a brunch breaker, if you will.
Yes. So you were there when Initiative 71 became a legal thing to participate in.
Yes.
How did you celebrate that? What were you doing? Who were you with? Do you remember that time?
I do. I was actually in the streets of DC when they officially announced it, and I was just outside with random people. There was cars honking, and everybody was just ready to embrace the new legislation. And shortly after that, there was an event that was already ready. Like the people that planned it saw it coming, so they already had the hotel booked and the event locked in. So it was the same weekend that they announced it. Like they might have announced it like on a Wednesday, Thursday, and this event was on Saturday type shit.
Now, I think that was the one that was on that Viceland Weedakit episode. I do believe was it a rooftop?
So that was a different event, but the one I'm thinking of was called Comfy Tree.
Oh yeah.
I went to that conference. I remember.
Yeah, there was two of them. So there was one like immediately after legislation, and then one maybe like
in February.
Yeah, a little bit later.
That's the one that I went to.
That's probably where I met you actually.
And that's where I met Phone Homie for the first time, because he was one of the only actual local cannabis-based vendors that were there.
Okay.
And he also really paved the way for vendors when it came to the merch that they had on their tables, because that's all you could sell at that point, especially at conferences. So merch. He had his merch, and of course he had his glassware, but dope.
I do remember that. Rest in peace to Phone Homie.
I
met him at that time. I met Capitol Hemp. I met Davis with Meister. And those are the three people that I remember.
At that time.
Yeah, at that time.
Some of the big OGs, it sounds like, were all in the room together at that time.
Yeah, there was a lot of people in the mix around that time.
But what introduced you to this industry, and why did you want to take part of it?
Rolling back before I was ever into hemp, I was into marketing. And one of the products that I advertised was a non-dairy beverage, and it was actually hemp milk made with hemp seeds. So that was new to me because I really didn't know hemp outside of High Times magazine. Like I always knew it as what I thought to be synthetic weed. Like they would have advertisements with duffel bags of it and stuff. So that was my impression of hemp back then. So when I heard about the non-dairy beverage, it just took me down a rabbit hole. So I started learning everything there is to know about it. That you could eat it, that you could grow it, that you could use it for clothing, that you could do.
But educate us for a second, though, for people that don't know what hemp is. Because, when you're saying hemp, I'm thinking I'm thinking like wheat type of stuff, like, you know, something, it's not necessarily the plant itself that we're talking about, but for those who have no idea what we're talking about, I guess break it down to them in that standpoint. And what is the difference?
The difference, yeah.
Between hemp and THC or CBD?
Okay, so I would say that hemp is like the cousin of cannabis. I've heard people describe it in that way. And pretty much as far as the like characteristics of it, it doesn't have the same levels of THC, and I would say that it's more often used for industrial uses. So whether it be like the oils pressed from the seed, or the different innovations from the herd, and then of course CBD being one of the main medicinal components of it. CBC, CBM, like I would say that the biggest difference is kind of like the level of those different components, with cannabis having the higher levels of THC, along with other cannabinoids. I would say with hemp, it has higher levels of CBD and other cannabinoids versus marijuana.
Yeah.
You used the M word.
I did, and school me on why that's not appropriate, because when I was giving the differences, I figured I'd speak on what a lot of the world uses to describe THC.
Yeah.
What, did you guys know that in Maryland, they legally changed the name? It's cannabis. Like, you can't use, like, especially in court documents and stuff, like, they're supposed to, like, change it all over to cannabis because of
Science.
that. Exactly, because Maryland is very they're very particular about the evidence that they use to back up their laws. So yes, science-based. But with marijuana, it is kind of associated with reefer madness, where they kind of criminalized the plant by associating it negatively with Black people and racism and things of that nature.
Very true.
I think you bring up a good point, though, when you said that you have to use it because that's what a lot of the world know it as. And that's because they associate it with law enforcement.
Right.
And being arrested and
There
the
we
war
go.
on drugs.
There we
so that's how they know it. They know
Right.
it as marijuana, but the scientific name is cannabis.
Yes, for the sake of Bud Brunch, we'll use cannabis for sure. Yes, I like
But
that.
sorry to get sidetracked. So you discovered hemp through your research, and then what did you do with that?
So at this time, at this point, I had also gone through somewhat of a glow up, like a transformation in my life. I started my lock journey, and I went to Costa Rica for 2 weeks, like close to backpacking. And when I came back, I had a different appreciation, different outlook on life. And one of the things that was important to me was what I was feeding myself and what I was putting on my skin and what I was using in my hair. So I was starting to dabble in different formulations and different things to moisturize my skin and to help grow my locks at the time. And eventually I figured out like something that I really liked, and I let people try it. They were like, you should share this with the world. Nice. And at the time I wasn't really feeling like it was special enough or unique, like it wasn't really giving, this is what I want to share for me. So I took some time to kind of figure out what I could do to make it special and worthy of sharing with the world. And that's when it clicked. Hemp, that's that thing that I've been learning about, why wouldn't I use that? So then I started researching how it works on your skin and your body, and different ways to use it, the different properties of it as far as like the smoke points and the deterioration of it, and things that you would want to know when you're making products. So once I got that, I stayed up for like a day and a half and just try to figure out different formulations. And then I narrowed it down to 2 different ones, and I tested it on my family and my friends. And I already knew which one it was, but I just needed like a second reinforcement on that. So I let them try it. They were like, yeah, that's the one. And then hemp butter was birthed.
Shout out to family and friends that let you experiment on them.
Right.
It sounds like this is really a lifestyle brand for you. Like, it was things that you were using for yourself. And so you wanted to share it with people because it was working for you.
Exactly.
It's a lifestyle brand, people. It's a lifestyle brand.
So was that the moment, or what was the moment that you were like, okay, this is a thing? It's a business and not just an idea.
So once I figured out the hemp, I knew I had a winner. I started working on like the branding, like what I wanted the packaging to be, what I wanted the label to be. And before I called it hemp butter, I had like more of a cosmetic brand called Nature Real Hair, like natural hair. It was Nature Real Hair. So that was the original name of it. And then over the course of about a year, this all started for me like around 2013. So over the course of a year, this opportunity came up in Colorado. And you know, Colorado legalized before DC. It was like they called it the Super Bowl because it was like the beginning of the year when they announced legalization. And there was this show that was coming out. It was called the Marijuana Show, and it was based in Colorado, and it was the Shark Tank of the cannabis industry.
Ooh, love Shark Tank.
Right, exactly. I was a fan of Shark Tank at the time too. So when the show presented itself, I think I randomly came across it either on Facebook or got an email about it. It was starting like the upcoming weekend. I didn't know how I was going to get there, what I was going to do, but I knew I was going to audition. So all things aligned, I made it out to Colorado for the show. I locked in with the producers, let them know I was there. And this was like an all-day thing. When they film these shows, you pretty much are just there for 8+ hours, and you know, they go one person at a time. So finally, it was my turn. I went in, I killed the pitch. And
of course.
Thank you. But I killed the pitch, and they were like, you got it. Like, you're on the show. So, you know, filming started probably within 2 months. You know, I went back to DC. I got the phone call maybe 2 days later. They were like, we officially want to give you a spot on the show. This is the filming dates. You know, here's your ticket. So I went and recorded for the show, and that was officially the start.
So I love how you were like, I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I knew it was going to happen, and you made it happen.
Exactly.
And a lot of times that happens in entrepreneurship. Like, you don't know how you're going to make it work, but you do. So speaking of entrepreneurship, it's not all easy, right? There are definitely some tough times. Is there any point where you were just like, I can't do this anymore? And why did you push through, and how did you push through?
To this day, I still have those moments, and I'm really good at like shifting and moving on to other things when I need to, or when I think I need to. So in those moments, I usually take on other projects. And with hemp being the distraction. And with the hemp and cannabis industry being so broad, I've been able to make that distraction something else within the hemp industry. So that's when I start working on different projects that have to do with hemp, or collaborating with other people who have projects going on, and then finding my way back to hemp butter.
And you have done a lot of collaborations and spin-offs, I guess, from Get Hemp Butter. I know a lot of people just want to know, how did you get into fashion? Like, how that's such a big leap from like skincare and topicals to fashion and creating pieces of clothing and shoes. Like, how did you get into that?
Yeah, so those are actually collaborations as well. And Spacey Cloud is one of the first clothing brands that I collaborated with.
Spacey Cloud, they're the best.
Yeah, shout out to Tati. I learned so much from her. And I had a pop-up shop in Northeast, right on Florida and New York Avenue where they intersect. And during that pop-up, it was probably like a 3-month pop-up. I had like a whole store. And I knew I wanted to teach people about more than just topicals and more than just hemp butter. So I started sourcing just different hemp products from around the world. And one of those products was something that Tati came out with. It was this piece Not really a sweatshirt, but sweatshirt material, but it kind of like fit. She's innovative and before time, but it was like the classic crop with the sweatshirt material. And she was like, yo, we should sell this at your store. And I'm like, all for it. So from there, I had her product in the store. 3 months goes by, the pop-up closes down, and she came across property in Adams Morgan on 18th Street.
I've been to that one.
Yes. Yeah. So she hollered at me and was like, yo, you want to partner? And I was also like into my food thing too. She's like, you know, you could use the kitchen, have this vegan restaurant, and I'm going to be doing like coffee/skate shop. So I'm like, let's do it. So, you know, when all things aligned and the timing was right, you know, came into the space, we worked out a business plan. We became partners for the venture. And in the mix of working in that space with her, it was like, let's collab, let's come out with some hemp clothes. And Tati was already like creative with the material, so she was already working with hemp. But we came up with Spacey Hemp, and her logo was like an elephant, so we were like, all right, like, how are we going to brand this and make it like a piece of both of us? So we came up with like a sea turtle, and then from there we just started working on like different designs. So in the time that we worked together, we came out with like a couple of shirts that had like the branding on the side. There was like a onesie that had like a zipper, just one piece completely made out of hemp. We had like a couple of hemp hats. So that was really my introduction into fashion as far as the hemp realm. And then years later, Davey Fresh hit me up. He's a local artist.
Yeah. Shout out to Davey Fresh.
Shout out to Davey Fresh. So he hit me up and was like, yo, you know, let's do a collab. And my only condition was it has to be hemp. So he's like, all right, bet, you know, I'm gonna holler at you when that's a possibility. So less than a year, you know, goes by, and he's like, all right, let's do hemp. So we got together, we did a brainstorming session. We talked about what these shoes were gonna look like. Then we just straight up started like designing the color waves. The whole upper material is made out of hemp. We did some innovation with the sole being the Nike boot sole so that they're more rugged and more all-terrain. We switched out some of the details, like on the back heel. We used like a brown quilted, like more elegant type of fabric, also hemp. And then we finished it off with a bioplastic emblem just to make them even more special, and then stamped it with the hemp butter. So if you know how like shoes are designed, how you could have like the metal piece in the front, so that we had that engraved with hemp butter. So those were the Nike Air Force One Hempress edition.
I saw those on your Instagram. Can people still get those now?
Ose are like all the drops I do are very limited. So once they sell out, that's it. As far as like the next drop I did, were New Balance.
All the drops. You got more than one. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
That was so DC. The New Balance was a nice nod to DC.
Those are going to come back, like limited quantities again with those. But yeah, so that was just, you know, something else to do after Davey and I did the drop. I did my own thing with the New Balance.
Nice. That's what's up. I want to kind of switch gears a little bit, because when you talk about hemp and, well, you know, your trip to, Costa Rica first, and then how that kind of influenced the way you look at consumption, just all the way around. Tell us a little bit more about like, what's the day in the life of Kyla? Like, how are you maintaining this way of life, and what does that mean to your brand? Because I feel like when we talk about cannabis, right, cannabis is a medicine first and foremost, and we have a lot of people that are promoting health and wellness in the space that maybe not practice it. And I just kind of want to kind of push the point of like, practice is key, especially if you really want to, because I feel like a lot of people that support you do that because they know that it's authentic and they know that it's quality because you live, eat, and breathe this lifestyle. So I guess kind of share, let us kind of, if you can, let us in into a glimpse of what life for you looks like.
Well, that's a good question. And I do eat, sleep, and breathe it. Like literally over the last 7 years, I've slowly transformed all of my personal belongings into hemp belongings. So anything that can be made out of plastic, paper, metal, glass, there's a hemp version of it. So I slowly started with all of my clothing, all of my shoes. So everything in my closet is made out of hemp. Like at this point, I have 100% hemp apparel from head to toe.
Oh my,
that must be an expensive
even your beanies.
closet.
Your beanies.
Yes, the beanies are available on the line too. 100% hemp threads. But yeah, even the beanies. I ride a skateboard. My skateboards are made out of hemp. My kitchen stuff is made out of hemp. Grinder, anything that you can think about, with the exception, I'd say I probably have, like, outside of my wardrobe, I would say everything else is probably more like 80% hemp, because there are certain things that I haven't been able to find a hemp version of. But everything else, if there's a hemp version, then I probably have it.
So it quite literally is a lifestyle. Like
Yeah.
I was just saying it was a lifestyle, but it is a lifestyle for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not easy though, but that shows your commitment to what you're doing. Because I can't
Exactly,
imagine.
right? Because I was gonna say, how did you find all that
How did you
stuff?
find
Because you must have been on some missions there. I'm sure it's
Digging
probably
deep.
easier now than it was when you first had the idea to want to do it. However, it's still costly. Would you say? And
Yeah,
I feel like that's
definitely.
maybe a barrier for people to want to take that step because they see the price and how.
Yeah.
It is definitely a barrier, but for me, I'm somebody who will wear, my size doesn't really fluctuate too much, so I could wear the same pair of jeans for 10 years, you know? I don't put my clothes in the dryer. Like, I let everything air dry or dry in the sun. So the longevity and the quality of most hemp products that I've come across, it's not like you're going to need to replace it. So when you're spending more on it, you just have to let it pay for itself.
Right.
And the quality,
It's an investment.
yeah, the quality speaks for itself. And you know, it did take me like over the course of 7 years to do this, so it's not like I just bought everything over 1 year. It was like, all right, let me buy a couple things this year, a couple more things, and then, like I said, I pivot and shift a lot. So when I'm engulfed in something, like whether it be in the kitchen or the fashion, then that's when I'll start like searching for something. Like I got into skating with Tati, so I was like, all right, well, I need to get a hemp skateboard. Check that off the list.
Right.
Then, you know, all of a sudden I'm playing chess, so I'm like, all right, well, I need a hemp chess
Don't
set.
tell me you have a hemp chess set.
I do.
That
I
is
do.
insane. That
And
is
you
insane.
found that?
I did. So
Wow.
in some of the things that don't exist, they have the ability to exist. So it's also like collaborating and partnering with companies that have this ability, and kind of like letting them know that this is a way that you could be more sustainable and also have a niche within what you're already doing. And bam, new product created.
So we definitely have a lot of entrepreneurs that are listening, and I think you have continuously dropped this gem of collaboration.
Yeah.
Like you can't do it on your own, and you can
can't.
definitely expand by partnering with people who have similar interests
Yes.
in what you want to do. So
Clock that.
clock that. I do want to go back to the hemp versus THC. You talked about the differences, but I can imagine that marketing a product that is hemp-based can be difficult when people confuse the two. Are there any challenges with marketing your product?
Yes, to this day, following the rules as far as like things that you have to do, like your credit card processing and things like that. There's certain companies that already exist and they have POSs and system in place. So it makes sense to use them, but then once you get locked into them, you know, you start making money, you know, using those POS systems, and then all of a sudden you get like an email talking about, oh, your funds aren't available. And it's kind of like, what you mean my funds aren't available? Like, run it back and transfer it, you know? It's like now the companies, they're okay with different things like hemp and CBD, but they want to tax you for it. That's the problem. And part of them taxing you for it is them having like complete control over whatever money you've accumulated in that account using their system. So there's like those types of limitations because you never know when they're going to act funny. You know, like I've had, I don't even want to promote this company, but I've had this credit card processing company for a decade. And it's like, why are y'all coming at me now that the farm bill has passed and everything like that?
Right.
No problems before.
It's predatory, it sounds like.
Right.
Yeah. And then when it came to like getting on shelves in stores and whatnot, at the time that I was really taking steps to do that, I got a lot of rejection because the word hemp or CBD, I had to take CBD out my product. I had to convince stores that it's no different than the hemp oil that they sell at their store already.
Right. Okay.
I'm like, yeah, I got it from y'all when I started out, you know?
Right.
So it's just kind of seeing how they're capitalizing off of people that are selling CBD products. You know, why I got to pay extra percentages.
Right. Than somebody who's not. But I think that another message too in this space is you get a lot of no's.
Yes, lots of
You
no's.
get a lot, not only no's, doors shut in your faces or hung up on, ignored,
Are you crazy?
Yes.
blocked, for just really just trying to exist in a legal market. What how do you navigate all of those no's? Like, what keeps you going, and why haven't you given up on hemp to just go pursue something else that you can market so much easier and make more without the hassle?
At this point, I believe in it so much that there's really nothing that anybody can say to stop me.
Period.
But I'm glad you mentioned that because early on, that was one of my biggest challenges is being that it's something that I created and I'm an Aquarius. It was really hard for me to take rejection because I couldn't really separate it from, are they rejecting the product or are they rejecting me? And as far as I was concerned, because it was my product, they were rejecting me. So that was definitely really hard to want to keep going. And I think I went from trying to get on store shelves to just vending at festivals and whatnot.
Yeah.
So now, you know, that I've grown and I've learned how to channel my sensitivity, I just worry about the people that are going to say yes and don't give energy to the people that have said no. And it's crazy because a lot of times those same people come back to you.
Girl, they run it back.
Later on.
Yeah. They be like, excuse me, remember that time we was like, you're like, or they act like they never said anything negative or bad about towards you about the space, and then they just want to be best friends and buddies, and it's just like,
folks.
Like, I remember you, sir. You were not with me shooting in the gym.
Yep.
What?
At all. Yeah.
What wild behavior. So, I want to know. So, right. So, a lot of the no's is a place that we are familiar with in this space. So, you did drop some great gems on that. Just keep going, right? Mm-hmm. And if you have a strong enough why, pretty much, it should sustain you, and people would again see the authenticity that you provide.
Yes, exactly.
But what part of the journey, I guess, do people not see that but you wish that they knew about?
So as far as what people don't see and I wish they knew about is all of the groundwork that it took to get here. It's crazy to think of all of the people that are in our circle that did all of the advocacy stuff, who are not necessarily reaping the benefits right now. So I wish people could see, like, you didn't just wake up to this. Like, there was people
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, people out here doing things, exhausting time, energy, and resources for legalization.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to know that.
Way before Initiative 71.
Way before Initiative
that's
71.
That's not even the starting point.
Yes.
So,
exactly.
Now, is there anything that you lost along the way that you had to, or had to sacrifice to keep pursuing this hemp lifestyle?
Definitely. I would say, like, as far as people that I've met along the way, like relationships that didn't really hold strong. So I've lost, some of those friendships. And not to say that the door is locked, but the door is closed on a lot of different situations.
You can't come back here. Sorry.
The door is closed, like Nene Leakes said.
Yeah.
The door is closed.
The door is closed, but for me, not always locked. But I've moved on from like a lot of different situations and things that didn't work out, and I find it easy for me to kind of get caught up in other projects that aren't necessarily for me, and I kind of lose sight of what is for me. Mm-hmm. So I'm very selective as far as who I collaborate at this point, whereas before I wasn't, and sometimes I kind of lost myself and my purpose, pursuing someone else's.
Mm-hmm. Big key right there. Keep on track, keep focused. And I will definitely speak to that, like, because I feel like I didn't have what I wanted to do clearly defined, and so a lot of people were trying to define it for me, and I just kind of was like, yeah, that'll, it made sense. But at the end of the day, it wasn't me, and that's where I kind of like, I felt like I was kind of like running into walls, and I was just like, no, it's not working because that's not you. That's
very relatable.
What you would genuinely do. So that's why it's not going to go the way that you want it to. But that's very real. It's knowing what it is that you are here to do, and sticking to that, even in your collaborations. I think that that's very important too, because a lot of people think you can collaborate just to make a profit, but if that collaboration doesn't align with your brand and your why, then that's when you can easily get thrown off. So great point there too. Come on, Kyla.
I think people really want to know also, like, what's next for you? What do you have going on right now, and what's next?
That's a great question, and things are ever evolving, ever changing. But as far as my product, hemp butter, I did take somewhat of a hiatus from that, what I described, kind of like losing your purpose along the way, as far as, investing so much into other things that it's easy to lose sight. So I did recently relaunch hemp butter. So once again, it's available. Okay. And as far as what's next, I'm collaborating with a couple of rock stars. Shout out to Molly Coleman. She's been one of my business partners for over a decade.
Molly's dope. You haven't been to a Molly party. You guys are not living life.
Yeah, so we're back at it. I'm collaborating with her and another entrepreneur, Ari. She has a business called Lala Enchilada. And together we have something called the Conscious Market. Okay. And my contribution to the Conscious Market is all things hemp. So a lot of the things that I've been able to source, collect, and use in my everyday life will be made available to other people. So sourcing products from around the world and making them available and cost efficient for people who need hemp in their life, or who just want to be introduced to more sustainable options. And our concept is more of like a pop-up. So we don't really see it as a stationary brick and mortar, but we're going to bring this market to people and let people know where we're at. Or if there's other events, we'll pull up on them and make things available for them there. So that's one thing that's next. Outside of that, I've dabbled in art for a lot of my life, and I've found a way to intertwine hemp and art. So about 8 years ago, I started working with Hempcrete, and I did my first art installation a couple years ago where I made a micro hemp home using Hempcrete and
So
hemp
hempcrete,
wood.
that's like concrete, but
made with
with
hemp.
hemp.
Yes, correct. So hempcrete is a byproduct of the hemp plant. So it's like you take the stalk and it goes through a process called decortication, where you're separating the threads that you would use for clothing, you're separating out the seeds, and you're separating out like the hurd, which is more like the wood, and then that's grinded down into chips. And then those hemp hurd chips are mixed with hydrated lime and hardened, and it creates a strong structure that's also fire resistant, air permeable, and non-toxic. So it is a great alternate to all of the different building materials that exist now. And finding a way to introduce it to the masses, the people that aren't in the construction industry. I made an art installation, and now I make these panels called, well, it doesn't really have a name, but I'll describe it. They're just like these small hemp panels made out of hempcrete. And you can hang it on your wall. You can do what you want with it. So that's the thing as well. And then I started cultivating hemp and actually growing in 2020 after all the years that I studied it, and I've had great grow mentors. I've seen Lucia do her thing.
Yeah.
Grow with Lisa.
Grow with Lisa.
Hey. So, you know, I'm finally cultivating and growing. I've leaned into growing outdoors. So that's
Good
what I
for
look
you.
forward to every year.
I saw it on your Instagram. It was taller than you.
Yes.
It was
Outdoor
taller.
girls,
Yes,
too.
taller. Yeah, that's
like,
probably
wow.
the most successful personal grow that I've had.
Kudos to you. That was incredible to see.
So
Thank you,
are
thank
you
you.
growing like large scale, or this is just for you?
So I help out on friends' farms and whatnot.
Okay.
But as far as like my personal endeavors, I'm very much by the book. So, you know, I'm only growing like a couple plants at a time
Nice.
and mentoring other people to do the same.
Yay. Yes. Grow with love.
Yeah.
Well, it has been such a blessing having you on today, Kyla.
Let people know, though, where they can get in touch with you and find out more about the projects that you're working on, or
and buy your
support.
products.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
Where can they buy it and where can they follow you?
So if you're on IG, you could find me at Hempress Hill. You can also go to hempresshill.com to see my merch. You can also get hemp butter on gethempbutter.com. I have a YouTube channel, Hempress Hill, where I talk about lifestyle locks and hemp. And outside of that, you know, just look out for the next collaboration. Look out for the conscious market.
All right, y'all. It is time for one of my favorite segments, Puff or Pass. This is where I hit my guests with a few tough choices, and they got to let us know, are you puffing on it or passing it to the left?
What you gonna do?
And listen, it's not always easy. These are the kind of questions that'll make you pause mid-puff and really think. You ready, Kyla?
I'm ready.
All right, so puff or pass. Solo smoke session or group sesh?
I'm going to go ahead and puff on the solo
Okay.
and pass the J on the social.
Okay. All right, puff or pass. Wake and bake or nightcap?
I would say nightcap.
You gonna puff on the nightcap?
Well, it depends. It depends on the night. It depends on the day. Because really, depending on the situation, definitely morning. I could also see it being a thing.
You have to pick one for the rest of your life. What would it be? It said it would stop and make you think.
Damn, that's a deep one.
They're not easy. Not all of them are easy.
Well, I prefer the sun, so the ability to be smoking, I'm going to puff on the wake and bake, and I'm going to pass
On the nightcap.
on the nightcap.
Got you. All right, puff or pass. Hemp-infused beauty products or hemp-infused food?
Ooh, I'm definitely going to pass on the beauty products
Okay.
because the food will be the beauty.
You are
within.
beautiful already. Yes.
So yeah, we're gonna puff to that.
I like the food to be the beauty. I like
She
that.
said, I'm cute already.
All right, puff or pass. Skateboarding or basketball?
Damn. So depending on the time of my life, because I would have said basketball in high school, but I'm gonna say skateboarding as an adult.
Okay, skateboarding.
But aren't you ever like afraid you're gonna fall and like hurt your pretty face? Like what?
Okay,
happens,
so
like-
when I ride the skateboard, I think that part of it is practice, and then you get like heightened senses. So it's almost like you're so, or at least you want to be. I wouldn't do any of these things impaired, but you want to.
right.
You
Take that
want to be
advice,
like
guys.
aware of what's in front of you, behind you, below you, around you, and you're also like listening to different things. So I feel safe because I'm paying attention and I know how to disengage. If you're on a bike and the bike, you hit a pothole, you going with the bike.
Yeah.
But on a skateboard,
You can hop
you
off.
can react and, hop off or roll off or, you got
However you got to get off of there. You're going to get
Yeah,
off.
so as long as I can disengage, I feel safe.
All right, so we're going with this skateboarding versus
Yes.
basketball. All right, puff or pass. Hempress Hill Air Force One or Hempress Hill New Balances?
Ooh. So I'm going to puff on both.
I know
I'm
that's
I
definitely-
told you. I was like, what is she? No way she's gonna pass on any of the things
Yeah,
that she
so I'm gonna
created.
puff on
That's
both.
wild behavior.
But working with other people is such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So, that collaboration with Davey was definitely lit.
The last one, puff or pass. A feature in Vogue or a policy shout out on Capitol Hill?
I mean, I probably pass on both, to be honest with you.
All right. Pass it on both. Neither one.
I mean,
got
I do like to be recognized, don't get me wrong, but that's not what it's about.
No, I think that speaks to your character.
Right.
Like you
That's a
said,
genuine response.
You want to live it. Well, that was Puff or Pass with Kyla Hill, the Hempress.
Yay.
There are no wrong answers, just real ones. And you definitely passed the vibe check, Kyla.
Oh, shit.
Honey, you are over there looking moist and glistening, child.
Regal, they like to call it.
Skin looking right supple over there.
Belong
So
on
that-
the throne.
That Get Hemp Butter is doing what it's supposed to
The
do.
blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
And you sweet honey over there.
I am definitely feeling the glow, the
Yeah.
little afterglow that is giving off with this Get Hemp Butter,
Yeah.
body butter that's making me look like butter.
I hear that it's also award winning.
Yes,
well.
DC's first
Yep, award
award-winning
winning.
hemp product
It
brought
is.
to you by Kyla Hill
The Hempress
herself.
herself.
She brought us some, y'all. That was really pretty freaking dope of her. And I'm so honored to be wearing this on my skin because I feel the healing
I'm
just
impressed.
seeping through.
I'm impressed with how it looks. So, on a scale of 1 to 5, how many cheers are we giving the Get Hemp Butter?
Well, I mean, considering the fact that they really took their time with this packaging,
The packaging is glorious.
yeah, and that it does go a little bit goes a long way. So I really appreciate that about the product. So I'm going to go ahead and give our girl 5 cheers.
5 cheers. I think it's worth it.
Well, you tried it too. Was it
I
bad?
did. I snuck a little bit when you weren't looking. And
Oh,
what
no, I saw a little fingerprint there.
Oh, you
It was slick.
see,
I knew it wasn't Nina.
see, but what I did was I just put a little bit on my edges,
Oh.
and
They was looking a little dry the other day.
See, that's terrible. You ain't got to tell the people that they can't see it, but they do feel really like it made my hair really soft, and so I know it's for hair and skin and everything. So I was like, let me just try it out on these edges real quick. I'm gonna give it 5 because if you can do something good for my edges, you good with me. Thank you, Kyla.
Hey.
You already know it's your girl, J Mills, and I'm excited to be part of the Bud Brunch combo. Culture, community, and real conversation.
Are you meditating?
I just feel like a new peace has overcome me ever since we've spoken with Kyla. We've been blessed with her presence.
She does give you that very zen, calm, chill energy.
A thoughtful energy.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
And I love how she was real intentional with not just her words, but like her behaviors and making sure that, you know, it was a lifestyle for sure. She's just not pushing products.
For sure. I love how everything that she sells, she used, she developed, and she tested it on her family to make sure that they liked it.
I know. Shout out to her family for being some amazing guinea pigs.
That was so cute,
And
though.
helping her to bring us Get Hemp Butter.
I mean, the fact that she had 2 drops with 2 major shoe labels as a woman
Right.
is incredible. Those
Right.
collaborations are like next level.
Especially somebody who's not necessarily like an athlete or somebody who represents the sports industry. She's just somebody who represents hemp and that lifestyle, which is really dope. But then, you know, her also getting into the skateboarding and that collaboration with Spacey Cloud. Shout out to Spacey Cloud.
She's just so cool. I can
Yeah.
see why they wanted to partner with her, though. She's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
And, you know, her presence reminded us that, you know, there's a strength in taking your time and really staying rooted to your why.
Absolutely.
And I feel like her really staying rooted to her why is the reason why she was a guest on our show.
Exactly. So thank you, Kyla, for coming through.
Yeah, thank you for
appreciate
holding
you.
your space for us. Yeah, and share your story with our listeners.
And next episode, Jay Mills is pulling up to the Bud Brunch table. She is a DC original, okay? DC down. She's an artist, cultivator, educator, and now a licensed cannabis retailer. So we're talking about how her creative upbringing gave her credibility in the cannabis space and how one early encounter with the plant set her mission in motion. From managing cultivation to curating women's retreats in Jamaica, Jay's been building culture and community from day one. Now with a retail license in hand, she's stepping into the regulated market with power and purpose. Don't miss it. Jay Mills is next on the Bud Brunch. That's it for this sesh, y'all.
I'm your co-host, Lucia.
And I'm your co-host, Ashley.
And this is the Bud Brunch, where we do it
For the culture,
for the community,
For
for
the
the conversation. Until next time.
bye.
Ready to be a bud?
You know you want to.
Subscribe to the Bud Brunch on YouTube and Spotify, and let's brunch and blaze together.
Sitting alone, are you watching the same sky as the day and softly?
This episode of the Bud Brunch was hosted and produced by Ashley Stafford and Lucia Nyankale. Special thanks to DC Scarger for donating the equipment that helps bring our voices to you. Music for this episode is licensed and used with permission. You can find those credits in the caption. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.